Evening. This is Frank McNeil with your talk of the town for the day is 7/27/24. And man, what is happening in this world? What is happening in Springfield? And I am one of the things I'm thankful that Springfield has shown its mettle. I'm so happy and pleased with the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, and other organizations who have been engaged in peaceful protests for the last 3 weeks over the death of Sonia Massey. And let me, as a former county board member and a former city council member, do a little explaining here tonight and get people on the right page. And this is my opinion. This is why I do this show, so I'm not under any encumbrances that keep me from saying what I want to say. First and foremost, I'm disappointed that the county board chair and members of the county board have not spoken out because they control the office of the sheriff. Andy Van Meter, who's county board chairman, I've not heard any statement from him, and maybe I missed it. And if I did, I'm going to apologize now. But I haven't heard any statement from the chairman of the county board. I haven't heard any statement from any members of the county board, quite frankly. But the chairman has a responsibility because the sheriff falls under his jurisdiction. Even though the sheriff is a duly separate elected official, his budget comes through the county board. The fact is that the county board chairman and the membership should be questioning the sheriff as to how did this man get hired? How did Sean Grayson get hired? There was enough information in his background, having served on the county board, having served on the city council, having fought for African Americans to be included in both the sheriff's department and the city. I am blown away as to how this individual was hired. And I've seen some very nebulous things stop young men and young women from getting jobs with the county and the city. This young man, I don't know how he got hired. Each day another shoe falls where he's should have been passed over. And now here we are in the 27th of July, and the Fraternal Order of Police, which represents county deputies, is filing a grievance saying he was improperly fired and that there was violations and therefore he should get his job back plus all back pay. This is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. But let me also thank the Israelites who were here Saturday, the 27th, who demonstrated here in Springfield so far without incident. So I'm very pleased, but I'm not pleased with the response from the county board and the county board members and the chairman, as they have a responsibility to the voting public. And I think clearly, if nothing more than an apology from the county, because Sean Grayson was a county employee at the time, and he carries the weight. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, as I recall, the county, and if I'm wrong, I will be corrected, the county is self-insured. And if a successful lawsuit comes forward and the county is obligated to pay, it's going to be quite a bit of money. And in my opinion, there's no way the county can do this without possibly increasing taxes or cutting services somewhere. So this is something that I think a lot of people need to take a strong look at. But as we move forward, say her name again, Sonia Massey. I've watched the video a number of times now, and I can't wrap my mind around the just total disregard for human life. The just the discourteous manner in which this man conducted himself. To say that don't waste your supplies, it's a headshot, she's gone. I mean, the total lack of professionalism. And to say that she was coming at me with a pot of water, it's just patently false. And he almost said to his partner, his partner was the one that had on the body cam before she was shot. Then Sean Grayson turned on his body cam after she was shot. Clearly, that's a violation, because why do these police agencies pay these big dollars to buy these things and these guys don't turn them on? And don't tell me he forgotten all of this stuff. It doesn't work. Then, to me, it ought to be in their orders. If you fail to turn on your body cam when you go on duty, there's some discipline, either a day off or something. This is serious. This is serious. When are they going to comply? They have body cams and they don't turn them on. Well, the body cam wasn't turned on. Then there should be some discipline for people who don't turn on their body cams, especially when there's a shooting and there's a life involved. Second thing, and I'm going to talk to Senator Doris Turner and say, in addition to whatever legislation she's proposing, I think any officer involved in a deadly shooting after the fact should be drug tested within 24 hours of that shooting. I think we don't know with the rules changing, with marijuana being legal. I don't know what the county has done as far as that concerned. I don't know if that's something they can do, but I think they should be drug tested as soon as after that shooting is cleared. They should be drug tested. That's my opinion, because we do know that county employees and county and sheriff's deputies and police officers do partake in alcohol and other drugs. It's a fact now. So I just think there's some things that just rub me the wrong way. And I think that the fact that the county board chair and members of the county board have not addressed this as a collective group or a body or as individuals, I think it's just unbelievable. Now, I'm sure they're going to say, well, the sheriff has addressed this issue and the sheriff has apologized. This is a county, a Sangamon County, and Sangamon County Sheriff, but the county, to me, still has a responsibility to make this right. And they can pass ordinances or regulations that the sheriff has to follow. And I think it's time that anytime an individual who has any kinds of background like this man has, maybe there should be a second oversight body that takes a look at this, because clearly Sheriff Campbell had the authority to hire this individual. I don't know what their HR person, I don't know if there were any issues back and forth between human resources and the sheriff. Did anybody say maybe this is not a good hire? Did anybody question the red flags that were popping out everywhere? And for those people who think the mayor and the city, they have nothing to do with the county and the hiring of this deputy. Mayor Mr. Busher had nothing to do with it. So let's put the onus on the people who have the authority to make some change. And that is with the county board and the county board chairperson and the sheriff, not the city of Springfield. The city of Springfield has no authority with the county board. They're two separate governing bodies. And so we need to understand, if we're going to put pressure on the right people. I'm just astounded that I read this letter to the editor from Sean Grayson's girlfriend's mother. And I was like, are you serious? And I'm going to read this letter to you because a lot of people miss letters to the editor. So I wanted to read it to you because I want you and the public to understand how some people just totally disregard the lives of individuals in the city of Springfield, especially African-American women or anybody African-American. It is a sad commentary. First, to the protesters. What are you protesting? Sean is in jail, charges are filed, trial date to be set, and punishment to be applied. Sean is not going anywhere, so please knock off wearing out your sweat glands. So please take your signs and go home and just be humans, not the amusement or disgust to the public. Point 2. Does anyone care about Sean's family or what horrifying reality they are dealing with? No, I care about Sonia Massey's family. That Sonia Massey is no longer with us. Sean is still with us. You can go visit Sean in the jail. You have to go to the cemetery to visit Sonia Massey. That's what I think about that point. What about his fiancée? He was to marry in October. Sonia Massey has 2 kids, a father, a mother who are grieving. What about her? What about them? She is an innocent young woman who is also unfairly being persecuted. I don't know who Sean's girlfriend is, and I don't hold her accountable for anything that he did. And I haven't heard anybody demonstrating. I've been to a couple, have brought her name up. I don't even think they know who she is. If they do, I'm sorry. And they shouldn't persecute her. But the fact that you're writing this letter telling demonstrators that you can't have your civil rights, you have to go home because you think there's enough, it's enough. Well, we have been here too many times. She is an innocent young woman who also, does anyone care about the destruction of her life? She is left to deal with an emotional death. Destruction of her life, she's lost nobody. Sean is still alive. And if the FOP is successful, he may be released. He may come home. Sonia Massey will never come home again. Does anyone care about the destruction? I'm sorry, I keep going back. Sean's future in-law families, a father-in-law to be, who is as close to Sean as a father can be, a future mother-in-law, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law who is Sean's best friend, future grandparents who loved Sean dearly and still do. shock, disbelief, and reality, but an undying support of Sean. We have an undying support of Sonia Massey as well. So you can have your opinion, but you can't stop us from having ours, and you can't stop us from demonstrating the total callous disregard for human life that Sean showed. We only have each day to pray without ceasing. The Sean everyone desires to hate and persecute is not the Sean we have all known and loved. We will always support Sean. Judge not, lest we be not judged. No man, woman is without sin. There is a final judgment for all. Proud grandmother of the to-be Sean Grayson. So I take offense to this in the context that Sonia Massey is no longer with us. Sonia Massey's kids have no mother. Sonia Massey's father has no daughter. Mother has no daughter any longer. And we act as if she has done something to Sean, to cause Sean's life to be in disarray. Had Sean, in my opinion, acted sensibly and appropriately, we wouldn't be here today. Instead, the language he used, most inappropriate to be in a public eye, the way he talked to Sonia was not appropriate. And when I, as a citizen, Sonia, as a citizen, have to produce ID in their own home, I mean, there's so many things that professional courtesies that could have been done. And then after watching the video and the issue with the water, my goodness, he pulled his gun and threatens to shoot her in the effing face. Why did he have to say that? She had not made any kind of aggressive action toward him. Nothing. A pot of boiling water on her stove in her house. And he, for whatever, and I have to say he assumed that she was going to use it on him. That's a leap of faith, in my opinion. There was nothing there that caused him to have to draw his gun. Nothing. There was no, I never saw her put him in imminent fear of bodily harm other than him talking about hot water, which she was several feet away from the water until he directed her to turn off the pot. And then that engages him to draw his gun about the water, thinking that she's going to use it to throw on him. I'm sorry. I am sorry that Sonia lost her life to this senseless act of violence. And that's what it is. This is an act of violence. There was no reason for what he did. There was no reason for him to pull his gun. There was no reason for him to talk to her as if she was less than a human being. We always talk about training. Deputies, and now today I read a story by Dusty Rhodes, or an article by Dusty Rhodes on Facebook, where Sean had been not disciplined, but cautioned about his activities, where he failed to obey his supervisor in a chase. Clearly, a comprehensive background check when you're hiring people to carry a gun and take someone's life, there should have been an exhaustive background check on Sean. All of these things should have been brought out. All of these things should have been before Sheriff Jack Campbell, so he could have made a decision based on his record of service. To disobey a senior officer, supervisor in a traffic chase, he's told to let it go and he continues. I have to question why. Why was Sean Grayson hired? And that is the question I'm hoping that Black Lives Matter, NAACP, Ben Crump, because there is liability here. In my opinion, there's liability that lies with the county, the sheriff's department, the HR department. They're all going to have to come forward and tell me why. What was so great about Sean that he had to be hired? I know the sheriff needs deputies, but sometimes you just have to pass up. Can you imagine if you hadn't hired Sean, maybe Sonia Massey would be alive and maybe you wouldn't be facing a multi-million-dollar lawsuit as it comes forward. I've been around Springfield a huge majority of my life. I've served on the county board. I've seen the deaths in the jail, Mark D. Kelly, Delina Arnold. I've seen the deaths of individuals who have been accosted by the sheriff put under arrest, where excited delirium was the, quote, cause of death and not the way the deputies handle this. There is an issue that has to be dealt with the county. And I'm sure that as we move forward, maybe the county will say, maybe we need a deputy oversight commission, as the city has a police oversight commission. Maybe they don't do as much as they should do. Maybe they don't have the powers that they should have. But at least let's put some things in place where we can talk about it, where somebody else has opportunity to look at what's going on. Not saying they will have the authority to reject an individual, but at least to issue an opinion. Looking at Sean and looking at his background, his Army career being cut short because of attitude or whatever you want to say. The fact that he had previous unfortunate DUIs, and that's not significant enough to stop someone from getting hired. No, it isn't. But patterns of conduct is what we look at. Clearly, patterns of conduct showed us that Sean Grayson probably shouldn't have been on the sheriff's department. And who do we hold accountable? We have to hold Sheriff Jack Campbell, the HR department, and the county board as a collective group, because that decision starts with Jack Campbell and goes up. So as a city resident, as a county resident, I think it's time that these things be examined from the county board perspective. I appreciate the young people out demonstrating, but you got to go to the source, and the source is the county government. Andy Van Mee, the county board chair, Sheriff Jack Campbell, they're the people, and the county board members. I haven't heard a word, not an apology other than Jack Campbell's apology. It's I can't believe that the county should not have been engaged in, maybe they had quiet negotiations or quiet words with the family. And if so, then I beg your pardon. I'm sorry. But I think that should have been public, and they should have let the public know what they were doing. And they should have let the public know that there's going to be an accounting, not just from the sheriff, but from the county board as well. That's what government's supposed to do. So, ladies and gentlemen, as I get ready to leave tonight, say her name again, Sonia Massey. Unfortunately, Sonia's not with us, but we can keep the spirit alive. And we can hopefully, some things very positive can come out of this for her family and for the community, so that no one will ever be killed in this manner again. And so I'm just happy to be able to express myself, to be able to let people know that there are people out here who care about Sonia Massey and her family, who want to see government operate the way it should operate, where there's oversight and people held accountable. There has to be accountability for the hiring of Sean Grayson. Somebody has to be held accountable. And we can pass the buck wherever you want it. But the decision was made, and now Sonia Massey is dead, and the county is will be facing an absolutely huge lawsuit. So as I give my sponsors a plug tonight before I leave, Sagamon Watches with my good friend Brian Sue down at Sagamon Watches at 206 South 6th Street. And by the way, they have a first-class watch repair person, and you can get any watch repaired. And not only does Brian have Sagamon watches, he has an array of other watches that you can get a good deal on. So go down 206 South 6th Street and ask for Brian. He's a very helpful young man, and he'll help you out. And to my friends down at Boyd's New Generation Restaurant, yes, I haven't been in lately, but I got to go get something to eat soon. And for my friend Steve, who Picture Perfect Creations down here, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for listening.